Good morning, everybody. This is John Heath. I'm the Director of Professional Services with CRI, and I wanted to welcome each of you to today's presentation of connecting with CRI vSTAR. And also wanted to go through a couple of administrative things. First, everyone is muted, and so if you want to submit a question, then we would request that you submit the questions through the software. In the bottom right corner, there's a place where you can submit questions, and we'll be monitoring those throughout the session today, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end built in. I do want to remind everyone that there will be no CPE for today's session. The course isn't long enough to give CPE. We need 50 minutes for that under today's rules, although I think the AICPA is changing those for us. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to do shorter sessions and give you CPE in different blocks. And without further ado, I wanted to get into introducing you to today's presenter, who is David Mills. David is our Director of IT Audit and Assurance for the firm. He is a huge college football fan, loves his University of Tennessee Volunteers, but he is also qualifies as a super geek, and he's got three strikes against him. First of all, he works for an accounting firm. That's a strike one. Second is that he's got a degree in physics. And third, his hobbies include nothing but computers. Well, I guess he loves to play golf a little bit too. But more importantly, David is a brand new pops. He's got a beautiful new baby granddaughter, Maddie Bell, who I think has the coolest nickname. I'm not sure if it was in honor of Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, but her nickname is Squishy. David loves a mango margarita at the Cantina Laredo. I think he also loves their apple dessert. And without any further ado, I'll turn it over to David to discuss CRI vSTAR.
Thanks, John. That was a great introduction. I appreciate all that, and my granddaughter, the Squish, will also appreciate that for you. Wanted to get started here and talk to you just a little bit about our vSTAR process. Everybody should be familiar with the traditional on-site audit process. We have scheduling, we have travel. Obviously our travel time, the client incurs, time and costs involved in that travel. Oftentimes there's difficulty in setting up communications. But we also are there to complete interviews, make data requests, and really do a lot of over-the-shoulder examinations and observations and use of your computer system. But one of the things that really limits us is our ability to bring subject matter experts in the field, and also to be able to retain this information as we go through audit processes, really either from just our notes or really what's kept in our mind. So what we wanted to do was come up with a process to sort of eliminate those things. And so we wanted to introduce you today to the CRI vSTAR process. That stands for Virtual Smart Tech Audits and Reviews, and it consists of some very simple technology. The first is a CRI vSTAR kit. That's a kit that is used to provide a one-to-many audit function. For example, if we need to have a kickoff meeting or a meeting where there are multiple people involved, then our kit is used. The basis of all this is through our GoToMeeting software and our ability to provide secure remote connections. And really what we found is that the average client takes no more than 20 minutes to get set up, even using the vSTAR kit. Well, what these things are of really big benefits to you as a client or potential client. And what it does is it increases our time and efficiencies and reduces travel costs, obviously, and enhances our specialist interaction. Those are the folks that may be experts in a particular system or a particular audit process or a particular process that you have that's specific to you. It also does minimizes you training CRI team members. We've heard that from our clients. We don't want to be your training ground, and we think that this really minimizes this. It also really eases the evidence gathering and resources that are used on your side. And really what we think that does is equate to better client service all the way around. So I want to kind of go into a little bit more depth for these particular areas. And one of the ones we wanted to look at was obviously our increased time efficiencies, which really means a lot to the client. It really makes us enhance our planning process so that we're a lot more effective in our procedures during our virtual processes, because we've taken a lot more time up front in the planning process to ensure that when we have a video session going, that we're able to actually complete that video session in a very focused manner, so that our timing and our efficiencies are easily obtained. One of the other things that we normally go through is our scheduling of your resources. Oftentimes, if we're in the field doing a traditional audit, we're there for a week, if that's the case, and if somebody gets sick, we may not be able to complete our processes. With virtual, we're able to just simply reschedule. And so that really makes it a lot more efficient from a timing perspective and your client use of your client resources. One of our main features of this is our ability to record our audit steps. And when you're doing a virtual audit, you're able to actually record not only the voices, but also the screen sharing that we're able to do. And what that does is it limits our need to stop during our interviews and say, let me get a screenshot of that, or hang on, let me take a note on that. And so we're able to actually produce that for you in a timely manner. So we also think that it certainly reduces our travel costs and our ability to reduce the time that's spent on client. Also, if there are multi-client sites involved, then our ability to actually hit all of those sites virtually is much easier than having to travel that, which saves you money. The enhanced specialist interaction is a key aspect of this. Our specialist interaction allows us to put specialized talent throughout our firm, and that's one of our biggest assets is our breadth and knowledge within the firm, and it's one of our biggest assets that we bring to you. So if you have just a particular one audit step that is complicated or requires some specific function, we're able to have that specialist interact exactly at the time of the audit process through our vSTAR system. They're able to join the audit process, and they're able to watch the audit process or drive the audit process. And that's a big deal for putting the right kind of expertise, giving you the best quality audit that you can get from us. We also said that it minimizes, obviously, you training any CRI team members. We're able to have recordings ongoing from audits, and our team members are able to see these experts that we talked about earlier perform their audit procedures and learn from those without having to actually be on site or use your particular audit processes as a training ground. We think that that's a big deal for our clients and our staff. It actually eases evidence gathering. Our evidence gathering allows us to, during the audit process, share screens. And what that does is we're able to see exactly how you do things during an audit step, and we're able to record those audit steps and actually see exactly what you're doing. So, for example, if you have a report that we need to use for an audit procedure, then the setup of that report is very important from an audit standards perspective. We want to make sure that the report is actually of the time frame and the data that's required. So instead of us having to go through that, we're able to watch you set that report up and record as we move along. So that's great evidence. Really, we always say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Certainly in audit evidence it is. It is also, but from our video capability, it's able to actually be a recording. Your resources, are not normally are not as affected as you would during a normal audit process. The things like conference rooms and physical resources that you might require us to have while we're on site are not needed. It also is extremely minimal when it comes to needing IT support at your end. We've made this process very simple and very intuitive. So, John, I'll turn it back over to you to see if there are any questions that you have at this point. If not, you can move forward with a couple of our known frequently asked questions.
Yeah, I'll encourage everybody, if you have questions from here on out, please feel free to shoot them through the questions function of GoToMeeting software down in the bottom right corner. But our first normally asked, frequently asked question is, what are the requirements from the client's perspective in order to have us utilize this technology to perform our procedures? And it's really simple from your side. All you really need, if we have two different models. The first is what David mentioned very early on, is a one-to-many type of model, which would be our audit team trying to interact with a number of people on your side, whether that be because they are in multiple locations, i.e. you may have a plant or different plants or different locations within your organization, and we want to have a consolidated meeting and avoid those travel costs both on your side and our side. Or if we want to have a opening meeting with your audit committee and we want to do that, and again, avoid everybody trying to travel to the meeting, or we could do it in a closing session, not like we normally do when we close out our audits, but that one-to-many transaction, all you need on your side is a TV or a projector with an HDMI input and an internet connection, and load the GoToMeeting software. So you really just need three things. You need an internet connection, a TV projector with HDMI, and the GoToMeeting installed on a device, and we can go from there. And it takes about 20 minutes to set it up. Most of the time it's actually more like 10, but the outside is about 20. So our average is a little bit faster than that, but we want to set a realistic expectation. And then we also have the one-to-one. We don't even need that type of hardware necessarily to do a one-to-one session. You can actually do it with a handheld device such as an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy or some other handheld device. And we've used that pretty effectively when we've had to do observations of like physical access and security in maybe a data center, for instance. We could actually, instead of us going on site and watching how they lock the server room or do the things that they do in those particular scenarios, you could actually just have the person walk through and show you the passcode or show you the swipe card on their handheld device, so we can actually record those sessions as well. Another frequently asked question is, in today's world, security is paramount, cybersecurity in particular. And so one of the biggest questions we have, because of all the regulatory things, whether it be HIPAA, high-tech, FFIEC security, or Gramm-Leach-Bliley, whatever the security requirements are from our client's perspective, we also have to meet those when we deal with their data. And so one of the more frequently asked questions is the CRI vSTAR process secure? David, I'll turn it over to you to sort of cover that part of it.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. As John said, our mantra when we were developing this process was any device, anywhere, anytime. So we wanted to make sure that it was in fact, a very easy set of circumstances for you to use any device. Our security was of utmost concern, which is to make sure that we had the security in place, that everything was encrypted and secure. All of these sessions are encrypted using a thing called TLS, which is an encryption technology that basically encrypts the session from end to end. Once the session is over and the recording is maintained, it actually is maintained on a CRI computer, which also has whole disk encryption. And then if it's moved to a CRI data storage, then it is also encrypted. So we feel that the data and the sessions and the information is encrypted at all times, which really should provide the level of security that anybody needs. It also it really kind of can enhance the security, because if we need to do a process where we are using, for example, your computer, then it really eliminates for you to even the need for you to even supply a user ID and a password to us. You can actually log into the computer, start our GoToMeeting session, and then you can grant us access to use that computer through GoToMeeting. When we're done and the session is ended, we don't have any usernames or passwords. So it actually is even more secure than the way we do it in our traditional methods. So we also wanted to make sure that we had great scheduling capability, and our CRI vSTAR process actually uses the widely used calendaring tools such as Outlook, so that we're able to just schedule and send you an Outlook invitation, or even Google Calendar if you're using that. So we think that makes good sense, and makes it easy for you to actually participate in the process. So John, I'll turn it back over to you to let them know what their next steps are.
Yeah, I was going to give them just a minute or so to see if there are any more questions that come in.
Sure.
Just 1 second. We're happy to answer any questions that come in through the functionality. And seeing that there are none, I will go through. And I guess one of the things that we do tout internally that's not been asked by the group is, how does this affect our relationships with our clients? And just to give an anecdotal story, there's a difference in our world in the physical audit that David's described as our normal historical audit, but we also do what we would call a remote audit quite often, where we may not ever really, we may just exchange data back and forth with our clients and really not ever go visit that way. And so we're trying to make this distinction between remote audit and a virtual audit. And for instance, we have a client that we've served for several different, for about 6 years now, and the manager on that job has never actually met the CFO of that particular company. They've always worked through the phone. They've always worked through email and our secure network to share files. But our manager has never met Dan, the CFO. And so we think that this virtual audit will actually enhance those relationships, because we do get to see face-to-face through technology. We do see that, and I do see some questions coming in, so I will, after I finish this statement, I'll try to get to some of your questions. So we actually think that this will enhance relationships and keep those good relationships. We offer the ability to do that through a hybrid model. If you're not sure that you want to go fully CRI vSTAR and do it through this method, we could do a hybrid where we take just piece parts of your audit and instead of jumping into the deep end, we'll wade into the pool. So we have lots of different ways to deliver it. It's really based on how comfortable you guys are as a client base. It is not one of the questions from Lynn is this a requirement from CRI to participate? Absolutely not. If your company is not comfortable with this thought process, we would continue to do the traditional audit. It's just an opportunity for you guys to work with us to explore a different way of doing things, to see if there's a way to save cost and keep the level of service at a very high level. So it's not a requirement by any stretch. It's an opportunity for you guys to explore. See, I got another question here from Candy. How do we price our audits? And short answer is, like most firms, it's based on the hour in most cases. So we're going to try to estimate the amount of person power it takes and extrapolate that against our cost that it takes to get those people out there. So that part is pretty similar to most firms. And the second part of your question, Candy, is, are you able to give an estimate for budget and planning? Absolutely. Obviously we would just need to know more about you and your situation, and we could talk about how that process works and what the amount of time it would take, extrapolate that, and come to some negotiated price. So I think that part of it's not very different from the perspective of how we put the budgets together. And then, let's see, I've got
I think one thing to mention, John, on that also would be that that with minimal travel costs, it really puts us on the same playing ground as if we were local to them.
oh yeah, absolutely. It sort of takes the geography out of the way. Let's see, the effective implementation date of CRI vSTAR from Lynn. Lynn, we'll be ready to roll this out in the next couple of weeks. We held training about a month ago, and we're in the process of doing some work to poll our clients, which we're about to talk about, to see how many folks are interested, get our licensure and our equipment put together so we can ship those out. So we're thinking in the next few weeks we'll be rolling this out. And then we also, I'm not sure that I understand one of the questions that I received here, so I'm gonna pass on it. We'll try to respond to, I'm not sure I can say your name, Mr. Aloba, I think. We'll try to circle back with you directly, because I'm not sure I quite understand your question here. I appreciate the question, I'm not sure I understand it. And as we're running close, I'm gonna just leave it open for just a minute more. We really appreciate all the interaction. So seeing that there aren't any further questions, what I want to do is go through what the next steps are. Audit evidence. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me see. So audit evidence is the question. How do we categorize the audit evidence collected by vSTAR, CRI vSTAR? So the way we look at it is we currently get a lot of electronic and digitized audit evidence in the current audit environment. And so what we're coaching our teams to do, and we do it based on risk, based on the audit standards. So audit standards say the higher the risk, the more evidence we need. And so we will be using that same, we do that today with take a really large lease agreement. Today, if it's a very low risk part of the audit, then we might just summarize what we read in the lease, and we may not keep a copy of it. That's in a super low risk environment. In a really, really high risk environment where that lease is such a significant part of the audit that it really matters, we might keep the entire lease agreement and do all the stuff that we do with it. And then in a moderate risk environment, what we might do is just keep the excerpts that matter. And so we make a judgment call based on the risk associated with that. And so in the same light, we'll use this video evidence. We may keep just a screenshot, as David mentioned earlier, or we may keep as audit evidence, or we may keep the entire recording. And it just depends on the level of risk that we'll see. So that's the way that we'll use it from an audit evidence perspective. Good question. And as we're getting pretty close to the end of the session, I do want to move on to what the next steps are. And so the next steps are we have audit client service champions assigned in each of our offices that are going to work through all of our clients to determine which ones are actually candidates. So they'll be working and polling their side of our client base, but there are also people that aren't clients today that might be interested in vSTAR. So what we have set up, both will use the same form at CRI-vSTAR.com. The front of the form looks exactly like what you see here in the white box. And so you'll start this online questionnaire. There are 10 questions that really describe different things about you and your organization and your processes. And really the question is, how digitized is your process? And if you go through this questionnaire and you're pretty highly digitized in either one area or many, then you're probably a pretty good candidate for us to use this technology. So you will then finish the form. It will be routed internally to our partners inside the firm, and then those partners will reach back out to you and let you know if you qualify as a CRI vSTAR candidate. And so that's really the process. It's just as simple as going to CRI-vSTAR.com, filling out 10 questions, and hitting submit to that and that last question, and then we will take it from there. And we encourage you all to go to CRI-vSTAR.com and fill out the survey. We really appreciate everyone's attention today and your interest in CRI vSTAR. We wish you guys to have a great day and look forward to seeing your questions submitted at CRI-vSTAR.com.